So, guys, you're on again with the Queen Pin and the Wingman. And we actually don't have, oh, you're flexing. You're flexing. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. We don't have cute furry baby today, but it's okay. It's okay. I
got
saw
it.
her.
Hold on. Here's her.
Hi. Hi.
All right.
So, all right. You and I both watched, and I know the world was pretty much watching this, Inventing Anna, about Anna Sorokin or Anna Delvey, whoever you want to call her, this fake German heiress. Like
Russian heiress, I think, my dear. I think she, right? Wasn't it Russian heiress? And then she is originally from Germany. Well, she's from Russia, but then moved to Germany.
She's from Russia, and then she went to Germany, and that's what everything, but her story unfolded, and I was just shocked with the way this woman just blossomed into a New York aristocrat, like out of nowhere. People weren't questioning, and she just kept saying stuff like, my father will pay. So for those that don't know, yes, Anna Delvey or Anna Sorokin is a real person. I actually had a discussion with somebody, and they didn't know that she got deported after the whole trial.
Yep.
But she actually had conned, oh my gosh, like hundreds, possibly thousands of people. But what really got me was people were really giving her money on her say-so. And it was one of those things of people didn't know she wasn't who she said she was,
right?
But her confidence got her in the room. I mean, she was going to rent one of the most noted buildings on Fifth Avenue.
Yep.
Just off of the fact that somebody was like, hey, you know what? You want it. You've got this foundation you're starting. And one of the things that struck me, I don't know if you remember where she tells her friend, the maitre d' at the hotel, hey, why haven't you started your movie? All you have to do is start. Right. And she's just like, this woman is like, I'm saving up for it. I have to make money. I have to have this big budget. And I think we all get there. I think that was one of the things that first struck me was we're all there at some point where we're saying, it has to be perfect. I have to have the budget for it. I have to have this. I have to have that. Yep. And you don't. You really have to, like Anna proved to us that, I mean, you do. Don't get me wrong. You do. Right. But Anna proved that you really just have to have the drive, and the rest of it will follow suit.
Manifestation, kind of. She's like the queen of manifestation, right?
Yeah, she really, really is. I mean, like the rest of it will follow suit, and she's just like, oh my gosh, like, I can't, she had everyone confused at first as to who her father was. They were trying to figure out if he was a mobster, if he was some, big oligarch. Who was this guy?
Right.
And
the fantasy is what kind of took over too. She built up this persona, and you can't research it either, really, which makes it kind of unique with the whole Russian thing, right? So who's going to research a Russian heiress, right? That's kind of the pitch. Right. If she would have been like, hey, I'm from France or wherever, you're going to be like, oh, okay, let's figure this out a little better. But when you're saying Russia, who's going to really start researching? They're pretty exclusive. They're not sharing things online. So the mystique of that. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No. And that's the thing, was her whole persona, but everyone wanted to be her. And it was, you and I have spoken about the snippets on Instagram and social media, and people wanted to be her. She went to, she went on to Morocco.
Yeah. And the most exclusive hotel in Morocco.
Yeah.
But look what happened.
Right.
You got to realize she got exposed as she went along because she thought she could play the same game that she played in the States, maybe. And she was getting exposed. I mean, I've seen so many specials on her. 60 Minutes had one, 60 Minutes Australia had one, 2020 had one. What I
Right.
found interesting, what I found interesting about her is she kept talking about men, right? Men, and let's face it, most men, as far as con artists or white collar crimes, a lot of them do this. Some get busted, some do not, right? For long periods of time. But she kind of kept mentioning a man all the time, like doing this and would get away with this and he would get approved for this, which I'm kind of calling bullshit on her. And I'm not just saying it's every man or every woman, but I think her being a female put a spell on a lot of men, either feeling sorry for her or being attracted to her or wanting her to be who she says she is. Because let's face it, me and you, I'm Chicago, you're in New York. Me and you go to New York, we try to pull this bullshit off. Yeah, my dad's a wealthy prince from Italy and Naples and blah, blah, blah. They're gonna be like, get up. You know what I'm saying? So her mystique too, being from another country, again, being a female, I think really worked to her advantage because they also wanted to get behind a female that could maybe conquer this. Whereas it was another dude, I don't care if you're white, black, Hispanic, whatever you are in New York, you're going to get called out really hard, harshly. But for her, she had like kind of this empowering thing and also the victim. And she was able to manipulate those perfectly, if that makes sense.
Right. She was, as I've always called it, the aggressive victim.
Right. I've seen this too. Like if you go to California, for instance, and in the art world, it's a lot like this too, where you have all these people intermingling. So you have billionaires mingling with people in their cars, right? You could go to a set on a film and you got guys that literally are extras or actors that are living in their car and they're across from an actor that's worth $100 million and they're in scenes together and they're collaborating together. They're eating lunch together. They're hanging out for a certain amount of time together. And you can kind of work your way into that, right? That's kind of what she did in the art world because there's a lot of people that are eccentric. There's a lot of people that love working with starving artists. They love a lot of people that work that are just in the industry themselves. If they're a buyer, a seller, auctions, again, you have people that are really they have no money, dealing with a lot of billionaires, even very wealthy. If you took my friends, say from Chicago and New York, all my lawyer buddies and judges, am I going to be able to work into that circle? Like someone like her, they're going to block her immediately. They're going to immediately know she's full of shit. So my point being is she picked, say, art. I don't even know how well versed she was, but art, acting, theater, a lot of these things was a nice way to kind of manipulate being poor and working your way into wealth.
Right.
That's a perfect kind of niche, if that makes sense.
Right. Because I mean, we all hear it, the starving artist, and she knew, and I think that was the thing, was because one of the things that got her friends was she knew which wines to suggest or what to ask for. She knew, who was who. And and even the fact that she manipulated again the maitre d' into, hey, put my name out there, get my name on this list. And the thing was, it wasn't on her own accord. It was on the say so of the fact that one, she was staying at a prestigious hotel. And two, you don't know her. She's the heiress. She's the German heiress. And people are saying, hey, you know what? I want to meet new money.
Yeah.
And the look is being sold.
That's her identity. She was just an actress. Right? That's all she was really a polished kind of actress that say she researched wine and art. And then she knew other languages. Let's call it for what it was. And I also think, I'm going to throw this out there too, where she was clever, where a lot of, I'm not just going to say this to say it again, from a female's perspective, from a woman, I shouldn't say from a female, but my opinion is she's a woman. You start hanging out with wealthier men or investors and all this. If that was a man again, I would, if I'm like, when I was making films, I had to take different lawyers out. I had to take out different producers, executive producers. different people, investors, all these different type of people. I had to pick up the tab, right? I had to pay the bill. Usually if I didn't, I'd look like a goof, right? I'm like, this guy can't even pick up the tab. How's he going to make a film for $10 million or 20 million? My point being with her is being a woman and in that position, when they were meeting with her and things, a lot of that, I'm pretty sure, especially if they had money, there's no way a dude's going to let a woman pay for her own type of, situation there. Also, it would be kind of disrespectful. So again, she was able to flip these things where they felt obligated to pay for her. Not only because she was a woman, I'm not just saying it, but because they're like, oh my God, I should be paying for her because she's an heiress. She's above me, like pitching that. Again, me and you trying that move, it's never going to work. So, and I don't mean to bring that up again, but she basically lived a fake identity off of everyone else without the fear, really, because she's from another country. It didn't sound like she cared about her credit, right? She just wanted to get money, as much on credit as possible, not caring about her credibility actually to a certain point, but like her thing was spending as much money to build up credibility with probably the hopes one day of paying it back. But she didn't care if she didn't pay it back, because if she didn't, she still built up all this momentum on social media and spent all this money meeting other people, which worked out to her advantage until it didn't. So.
Right. I mean, because even like you and I know Fortress, like Fortress was one of the highest lenders.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you and I could not say, hey, you know what? I want to start this business. I want to rent this building. Mm-hmm. Hey, Fortress, give me some money. They need proof.
Yep.
They need proof. And she was well on her way until they told her they were going to check with her father and see who her father was. And that's for her where things spiraled out of control. I mean, they were already spiraling, but that's where she lost it, because she knew she could not keep the same charade up, so it was so crazy. But even her trial was this huge fashion show. People are trying to style her for her trial. Like, really? Why?
Well, maybe she wasn't also looking to get rich. Truthfully, maybe she was just looking to get famous. Like a lot of people have to understand, right?
For her, it was the fame.
Right. If she even went to the joint, she went to jail for a substantial amount of time, but she comes out, she cuts a book deal, she cuts a deal with Netflix. She doesn't have to pay any of this money back, most likely, or they may have to go after her. But if she lives in another country, good luck if she's living in Russia or Germany to go. I'm not saying they can't, but good luck. So in the grand scheme of things, kind of maybe everything is going to work out for her because she is really young. And eventually they may do a documentary on her.
Because she was, 25 at the time?
Yeah, I mean, she's a very young girl and she's savvy, right? I mean, let's call her for what it is. She's got a long life ahead of her, most likely.
A lot of savvy.
Yeah. So a lot of people still, even though you're kind of a con artist, will still want to work with you because they know they can make money off you. And let's face it, if she didn't kind of do what she did the way she did it, she would have never got the notoriety. Like, she's taking photos on Instagram at some of the most unique places in New York, the most unique events in New York and other places, California, Morocco, and other places. So she was kind of savvy with that as well. So there was a lot more, I think, behind it than just saying, I want to rent this building and I want to be all these things. I think fame was one of her biggest drives.
Right. And I mean, I think to me, one of the things that got me was she was very clever with her words.
Mm-hmm.
She was clever with her wording. And the reason I say that is because she went to rehab in Malibu.
Yep.
And her first thing was, oh, I'm in the boo. So now everyone's going, oh my gosh, she's there. They're not thinking, okay, this woman is going to rehab.
Right.
And it's clever wording. She knew what she was doing. And I think I'm saying all of that to say this is, if we market ourselves properly, if we have that amount of confidence, if we say, hey, you know what, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make sure that this is what I want. This is the goal I want to achieve.
Yep.
And I'm just going to go after it, hook or crook. And that's what she did. I mean, yes, she spent $62,000 of her friend's money on a credit card. Yeah, she was spending money she didn't have.
Yep.
I mean, but at the same time, got people to style her for a trial. Who in the world do you know has people styling them for a
Right.
trial? You know,
she was paying for experiences, right? Too. That's what she's paying for, the experience and the notoriety and the exposure. Like anything else, if you market a product, she just marketed herself that way. What was I going to say that was interesting about her that I found really unique? I'll come back to me. Go ahead. Say whatever you were going to say. And then I had one thing I wanted to say.
But yeah, and I think one of the things that people didn't pay attention to is for a lot of the time she wasn't paying.
Right.
She wasn't paying because most people don't realize usually the person when you're playing credit card roulette, usually the person picking never picks their own credit card.
Right. You know,
so she wasn't paying.
No, she was a thief. Right. And what she was able to do is kind of expose a lot of wealthy people and embarrass them. So would they want to sue a girl that they know is kind of, once she got outed, so she's like, oh, you put $50,000 on my credit card. A girl's trying to mentor her. Now, what is she going to do? She knows she's broke. It cost her more money to start hiring a lawyer for $800 an hour to go after her in court. Not only that, it's going to be in the news that some girl who's poor just beat you out of 50 grand. How smart and clever are you? So you kind of get fooled. You don't want to be exposed. So that's kind of how she was getting away with that as well.
Right. But it's just one of those things of, you know, Anna just proves that, hey, you really want it, you can do it. I mean,
here's the thing though, you can live it, but here's the thing I am going to say about her, and that's what I couldn't remember is, you know, it was like when I was making films, I'll just bring this up, and you're trying to raise funding because I have a slate of films, trying to raise millions upon millions of dollars, right? And as momentum starts to build year after year, and you're spending all this money on legalities, you're having all these meetings, in your mind, you start thinking, yeah, this is happening. I'm finally doing this after 2 decades of trying to go after my goal of making, you know, bigger budgeted films. It's happening. It's going to happen. And it didn't happen. A lot people that I worked with on those projects, some just said it was never going to happen because the truth was, and then others were like, no, it was supposed to happen. Just this didn't go our way, or this didn't go our way, whatever. Like her, she thought it was going her way, but she really never was any further than when she started. And that's what they're trying to say, because you never had the money. Either did I to make films. I may have scripts, I may have actors attached, I may have all these things, but I never had the money. If I have the money, then it's going to happen. In her case, she kept saying all this, you stopped me, or it was this person's fault, or they shouldn't have done this to me. You really should have never even got the first base. You conned yourself. But the truth is, she was never actually anywhere near renting that building. She was so far from it, but in her mind, right, even though she may have met the right people that can help her, but they had to put the hammer down. They weren't, you know, screwing her or, you know, making it harder on her because she's a woman from another country. If anything, they were helping her, I think, more than hurting her. But the truth was, he never was going to give her the money. You can't give that type of money and that type of lease to somebody who has nothing backing it. She thought she could talk shit. And the way she manipulated her way through all these other people, she thought she'd manipulate and raise, how many millions was it? 50? Can't remember. 40?
Right.
Like she thought $40 million was coming to her because she could talk shit. What are you, out of your goddamn mind? Like you think that's going to happen? So again, but I will say she was living that lifestyle, but she kind of conned herself into believing that she deserved it. Yeah. If everybody would walk around saying, I need $40 million in the world, and say they could go, you know how many people that are more educated than her that probably have a better product, know what to do correctly, would destroy her? Thousands. Why does she think she deserves it more than someone else? She also has no credibility. She's never done it before. She has nothing to really show. If she did again, all she knew were people. So people are people anyways.
Yeah. So my big take, I mean, for those that haven't seen the limited series, it is a limited series. It's only 9 episodes.
Yeah.
And I will say kudos to Netflix, because this was the first time in a long time that I was actually glued to my television. It was like, I've got to get home and finish watching this series. So, and when I wrote you and I was like, okay, did you watch? And you were like, yeah, I binge watching it with my girlfriend. And I was like, okay, yay. So it is worth a watch. It is worth a watch just to see, and trust there is some literary license in this, and they do let you know throughout the series that, you know, there are things that aren't quite real.
Of course.
I mean, but think about it. If you wanted a documentary, they would have just said this is a documentary. But it is worth the watch. It is worth the watch.
Yeah, if you go to YouTube too, for the last few years, there's been a lot of different documentaries made on her, and there's been a lot of shows on television. And actually 60 Minutes Australia just did a follow-up on her after this Netflix to kind of show, and they did an interview with her. And it's really interesting to see where she is right now in her life. She looks much different. And she's just kind of still very naive, I think, in the point where she feels like she got stiffed, when the reality, she kind of stiffed everyone else. Like,
yeah,
you know,
she was. And then the thing is, she's really, when in her mindset, for some reason, she is that she's a child. She's a child that is missing something, you know, someone's coming to save her. She has the savior syndrome.
Yeah. She has the victim mentality, but also she has balls of steel, man, because on one end, you know, it's like she's fierce. And then in the other time, she's, you know, it's almost like a puppy, you know, like a lot of dogs, you probably have ran across, they're like barking like my dog, take on the world. And then you raise your voice or scare them, and then they give up. And they're like, no. That's kind of what it seems like her personality was with her boyfriend, with her mentors. She just kept trying to push the limit, push it. And then when she got exposed, she'd either flee, cry, have a breakdown, or people would flee from her. So,
yeah, so true.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely, guys, it's worth the watch. It's worth, you know, looking at. It's worth everything. You know, if you have Netflix, definitely check it out. If you love a drama, and if you're one of those bingers that has to sit there all weekend, clear your schedule. You don't necessarily need $1,000 bottle of wine, but it is worth sitting and watching.
Stick with it, because I was actually going to pull out of it, but I watched a couple and I'm like, is this kind of a Hallmark kind of,
yeah, that was,
you know,
that
it starts off kind of corny
yeah.
a little bit. And I think the acting at the beginning, I mean, it's a hard, you know, whatever. It's got the girl from, she's an amazing actress. What, she won 1 or 2 Emmys from Ozark. I forgot her name. But she's amazing in it, but give it time to kind of grow on you a little bit, because I think it does get a little,
it takes time.
With the reporter and the lawyer, but it picks up momentum, and the language changes and everything. I'll tell you this, it's one of the most visually beautiful series I've ever seen in my life, as far as just color, beauty, showing New York. I mean, if you like Sex and the City's locations, you're going to go nuts for this.
You're going to love this.
Yeah.
It was one of those that actually, I would say, in a long time, hasn't shown New York in that glamorous light, but this definitely managed to do that.
Yeah, when you start to meet her friends and even her boyfriend, it gets better and better, especially with the one in the hotel, and then the other one, her trainer. They really knock it out of the park as they go along, because a lot of people are rooting for her. At the same time, a lot of people want to put her away. So you kind of, I will say, it's very confusing type of film or series, because at times you may be like, oh, you know what? I think you should let her go. Like, she's a young girl. She didn't know what she's doing. And later you're like, you know, this girl should go away for 10 or 20 years. Look what she keeps doing.
Right.
She's up. So it has this, and they kind of show her lawyer, her friends, they're all dealing with this type of person that they love, and then they hate. They want to be around, then they don't want to have anything to do with her, and it's like a back and forth.
Yeah, because even her friend, the one that worked for Vanity Fair, she, okay, that's the actress that was in Scandal. She played Quinn in Scandal, and you know, at one point you were really feeling bad for her because she lost all that money. But then, you know, when she gets on the stand and she's like, hey, yeah, I got it back. I got this deal. And you're like, wait, so you got your 62,000 and more, plus Amex actually, just excused your whole debt. So yeah, no.
A lot of them made out on the deals. I don't know about the people that got burned, her mentor, the older person, or her boyfriend, or certain people, not everyone, I should say, because a lot of credibility was blown. But her friends, I think, kind of made out on the deal. Her lawyer got a lot of added exposure. The reporter that actually, not only the Vanity Fair girl, but also the one who's doing the story throughout the entire movie, she made out really well. And then it's funny because at the beginning, they wanted to attack her. And again, they're attacking her and going after all these things. And then at the end, they all, like I said kind of earlier, but now they all have a different perspective. Like, did they expose her? Did they kind of use her? And then they feel like they did what she did. Maybe she was using people and now they used her to get notoriety and make more money.
Right.
It has that kind of feel to it.
Yeah, because everyone at the end felt like they kind of had to save her.
Yeah, so, right. They all kind of, yes. And, you got a lot of different, the second half of the series, I'm going to tell you, is way better. The music's outstanding. If you want to check out the soundtrack.
Yes, the soundtrack was amazing to that.
Crazy. It's good. A lot of great things, locations, like I said. It's in the costumes are whack for men and women. Some of the most beautiful clothing I've seen in a series forever. Forever, especially in this time and age. It's not like Halston where you get to see all the vintage. It's really right here, right now. And it was great. Beautifully shot. Beautiful.
Definitely. And for those that are looking for a stylist, I actually had the pleasure of interviewing Fatima Tania. She styled people like Beyonce, also a lot of other celebrities that I will not name. But yeah, check her out, Fatima Tania. She has a lot of great looks.
Awesome.
So,
all right.
So, all right, guys. Well, again, check out Inventing Anna, and that's what we have for Queenpin and the Wingman, 100% authentic.
I look so thin on this thing. I'm not this thin. I look so tamer. I'm like, oh my goodness. All right, sounds good.